Hey, what's going on? It's Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. Thanks a lot for hanging in there with the Yamanote and Texan Society. My name is Chris. This is your first time listening to this podcast. Just want to basically say thanks for tuning in. Here in New York, it's about maybe 30 degrees, snowing pretty heavily outside, and we got a good show today. We're going to be speaking a few topics. One of the topics I'm pretty excited to talk about was the stenography keyboard, which is basically created an application called Plover, and it's pretty good to kind of understand a little bit about how information is basically being loosened up by copyrights and trade secrets are opening up to allow people to type, 2, 3 times as fast as they normally can on a smaller, cheaper keyboard, allowing people to create blogs, become, maybe helping people copyright or even, transcribe different information on different websites, if not. Focusing on other things, we're also going to be talking a little bit about just finished the book, The War on Normal People. That book was an author, Andrew Yang, who breaks down step by step the problems that are coming our way due to a lot of the changes in our technology that is pretty much going to change or basically change how we interact with each other and interact with work. So, for instance, like the truck driver is going to basically be ousted and replaced by AI truck drivers. It's not going to be a overnight thing, but he breaks everything down step by step with data and information that he can be backed as he basically runs for president of the United States. Let me see. Also, we have here. Also, if you're also looking to, share information and build a network of people that are looking to, better themselves, I wanted to also go over, Google Docs, which is going to be, if you're not really familiar with it, Google has a productivity service that's built into your Gmail account that allows you to keep track of information like text files, videos, and also almost anything that you can probably keep on your computer. The good thing about it is you can actually link things together similar to how things are linked on Wikipedia. So it's I wanted to go ahead and talk about that because if you are a regular listener and you have the what we call the email newsletter, you would be able to get the information that I'm going to be talking about each week ahead of time. So, so if you want to basically find out more about that, you could just send me an email at, ksamuel.chris@gmail.com. There you'll be able to get the newsletter, which I leave links to the past newsletters so you can read about it. The newsletter is just pretty much, it talks about, my thoughts on different things I've came across, links to my social network or social media networks. It also has a links to the YouTube video recommendations that I have for the week, just things like that. So right now, we're just going to take a quick break. Okay, welcome back. So Plover. If you're not really familiar with Plover, it's an open source stenography project that was basically created by Zack Brown. And Mirabai Knight is she's a professional stenographer who champions the idea of using stenography to not only write to help, maybe if you're interested in creating a blog and typing faster forward, but you can actually type at human, speak speed. So you can type as fast as you speak. I just recently bought, if you was able to follow some of the my Twitter, I sent some information out, some pictures of the keyboard I bought, which is called Tiny Mod, and it's pretty much a small 22 key keyboard that you use. You basically type as you pronounce the word. So, for instance, if you're going to say the word tough, which is spelled TOUGH, you would probably type it TUF. You type on the keyboard from left to right, and you type usually multiple keys at a time to get certain words. So you have to memorize the keyboard, which is not so bad. If you use a standard QWERTY keyboard, you would basically notice that um, keeping up with the words wouldn't be such a big deal. The book is also available online as a website. I bought the book because I'm always a big believer in supporting, indie or open source information, because I feel that it takes a lot to get started, and it also takes a lot to keep things going. So, if if Zack Brown or Mirabai ever listen to this, thanks a lot for putting out the time to put out this information. I'm going to take a minute and just go, just talk a little. Well, not really talk. I'm going to play the YouTube video where Mirabai talks about it a little bit, about how the Plover is used with the keyboard. The video is basically what we call it's like I think it was some sort of like open source. It's called accessibility. It was like accessibility convention that was allowing people to learn how to, you know, basically first off, the keyboard helps people who probably can't speak. They will be able to type their words and then use some sort of like voice dictation app that would basically say the words, kind of similar to like Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant. So if you want to go ahead and pay attention to those type of those situations, you can do that. But I think it's great for several different things. One thing you can also do with this, you can program with it. So if you are a big person who programming, you can actually type not only the letters that you have to type for the program, but you can also type the symbols, which is one of the symbols that you can type. You can type like you'll say for parentheses or back closing parentheses, and you add this to your dictionary that you continue to build as time goes on, as you learn more and more words and you're practicing every single day. And I think it's something that a lot of us will probably start using as the internet becomes more and more relevant for building your business or building your brand. I definitely think that if you have children, for instance, you may not have time. You might be busy with work. You can use the Plover app and teach them how to write these things. And then you can basically talk out all of your things that you want to say on like an audio clip on your voice memo app on your phone, for instance. And then you can send that to your kid, and where they can basically listen to you talk and type it into text. Basically, you have your children transcribe it for you, or have some friend transcribe it for you. You save a lot of money. The average site right now has I think it's called rev.com, that you can have your voice transcribed, audio transcribed for, I think, $1 a minute. So a 30-minute audio clip would basically be $30, and that can add up if you, depending on how many audio clips you have, or how many podcasts you have, or interviews. It is great when you're trying to index your information online. So I definitely think it's like really good. So let me just go ahead and take a break. Not really a break. I'm gonna go ahead and just pause this right now, and I'm gonna, next thing you're gonna hear is gonna be just a clip from the YouTube video. Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to take this moment just to thank you so much for still listening to the podcast. It really helps me to know that whatever I'm saying is you feel interested in. Right now, this would be like the 9th episode I've made. So, and the only people who really would basically be listening to is the people who actually know me, or so people who like stumble upon it randomly online, either because you were looking me up or you were looking up something that was in the keywords. So basically, my each week I like to bring like an idea on how you can develop yourself into a better person by me like using books and videos and just experiments of my own to to become a better person. And then whether be successful or not, I will show that to you or talk about it to you here. If any deals or discounts that comes in my way, I will let people know, and I'll just move on from there. So so today I would basically say that these podcasts are being made through Anchor FM, which is a website that allows you to create a podcast on your mobile phone or on the laptop or PC, and you can do it all for free, and it posts it to Spotify as well as a lot of other small podcasting RSS feeds. And I keep track of all of my notes utilizing a notebook and Evernote. And so if you're interested in learning more about these things, please feel free to email me at ksamuel.chris@gmail.com. That's ksamuel.chris@gmail.com, and just making something in the subject line, just put the name of the podcast, Yamanote in Tech and Society, and inside the email just like a question, if saying hi, why you like the show, why not like the show, and any questions I'll answer on the show. So thanks a lot. Take care. Okay, so I have the video playing. I'm going to just play some of the audio into the actual audio clip, so that way you guys can just listen in a little bit. But I will list or link the actual video to the description in the podcast description file.
So basically, the steno keyboard was invented in 1911, and it's been unchanged since then, except that now it's hooked up to computers, and instead of manual transcription, it's all done by the computer. So each word is encoded in a series of capital letters, in a specified order. The beginning consonants of a syllable are on the left side of the keyboard. The ending consonants are on the right side. And then the vowels are in the middle and operated with the thumbs. So if you want to do a word like start, you would just write S-T-A-R-T, which is one stroke, start. So it takes that S-T-A-R-T stroke and it sends it through the dictionary. The dictionary looks it up, sees that it is mapped to the word start, and then it outputs that word to the open window. So this is just Vim, a text editor, and Plover, the steno software, is emulating the QWERTY keyboard. So when I write start in a single stroke, it comes out start.
So there you go. I mean, if you were not able to check out the video, Mirabai is basically sitting demoing the screen with a steno keyboard that is like a standing keyboard. So she's standing and typing. This keyboard is pretty much the version that they have is that they split the keyboard into two pieces that is connected by a USB cable in the middle. That basically one is for each hand, and it's just great to see that. And then on the screen there's a small little just a place that they kind of show a piece of the screen that she's actually typing on, so you can see how fast she's typing, and she's literally typing as fast as like closed caption would be on your TV screen. And wow, I mean, just thinking about it, if I would work on practicing to do steno, maybe like after a couple of months or even like a year, because she said you went to took a certificate back in a couple of years ago, and she went ahead and wasn't able to fully handle the deaf, because she was working to help the deaf be able to to talk. So she would talk back and forth with them, or she would be their what you call their I guess like their aid for communicating back and forth. She goes into it in another video. I'll see if I can find that video and share it. So yeah, I mean it's great. And I got it a couple of weeks ago. I actually bought this from somebody from their blog, and it's Tiny Mod. The name is Charles Statuk. I'll leave his link inside the description as well. It cost me like $167. I mean, the guy that makes it on his own. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you know that's a cheap price compared to like the $1,000 for their actual one. You could probably, if you don't want to actually use the actual keyboard, they do have these keycaps that you put on top of your regular keyboard. And if your keyboard is like a mechanical keyboard where you can type you can type multiple keys at the same time and they all register, then you can definitely use the keycaps. The reason why I didn't want to use the keycaps personally was because I wanted to get into the mindset of actually when I'm using this keyboard, that I know that my mind has to think like a steno keyboard. If I have the regular keyboard around me, I would probably you know make myself think like like typing with a steno keyboard, but thinking QWERTY keyboard. So I didn't want to do that. So yeah. So basically, yeah. Learning Plover right now. I'm gonna try to make that's a big effort for next year. Hopefully, I'll be able to increase my dictionary and then be able to do things like I know type up the blog for this podcast, for instance. I can actually go back and listen to it, and if I know what if I have my dictionary is strong enough, or not strong enough, but if my dictionary is has enough words that map to the things I need to map it for, I can definitely do my own transcription or transcribes, and it would kind of be great because then you can listen into what I have to say, and then I can learn how to what do we call I can learn how to be a better stenographer, and it's great. I mean, it would be great to be able to see this. The possibilities are endless. So I'm gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about Google Docs and the Google Docs the next segment. Hey, what's going on? So thanks for basically hanging in there for a little break. So I want to basically talk a little bit about the newsletter, and the newsletter is basically on Google Docs. So if you're familiar with Evernote or you're familiar with Google Docs, Google Docs is pretty much a productivity app that's built into the web. It's built into your Gmail account, and it also has an app on Android and iOS. And what it basically does, it allows you to keep all your information in one spot, but it also allows you to easily share it with people around the world. As for me, if you don't know, I spend a lot of time working with virtual assistants online to do, very small tasks from, maybe building up my contacts list from my Google contacts and my iCloud contacts and putting them into a single file, or for instance, taking what I think what was another thing I actually had to do. Oh yeah, helping me translate what do you call it again? Some of my some of the work that I basically done to put it into a nice email so I can email it to someone. Or I found a great way to also share what was another thing I did. I did a few things with that. I shared that. Oh yeah, I also built a small blog where I took a lot of my Magic games I played, and then added it to a my YouTube API. So for instance, I know that might be complex, but like that was one of the cool things for it. And what I needed to do with Google Docs was that I used that to put the list of like the blueprints for how the application was going to be made, how the different tips were going to be done, and then we used tasks like we would work step by step to make sure things would get done. And it's a very cheap way of working. And because most people who I work with are like from other parts of the country, like India or China, and the different parts of like Eastern Africa, stuff like that, they don't necessarily have access to a lot of free things, like so Evernote costs money if you are using their premium service. But for Gmail, you can pretty much share anything, and it allows you to work with a Gmail account that you can pretty much say is pretty safe. You can even tell when somebody logs in, what they don't. And it also has another feature, which it has voice to text feature that is only available on the Google Chrome. So if you sign into your Google Docs on your Google Chrome app, you can actually take the links, not the link, you can actually take the Google Docs and you can click on this. It's in Tools if on your Google Chrome, and it has something called dictation on it, voice dictation. And if you have your microphone set up, you can basically talk in English really slow, and it will type everything in. It's not, I don't know, I wouldn't. It's great. It's kind of slow when it comes down to talking for long periods of time. But if I'm going to try it out, because I think you get a chance to practice, talking slow and talking clearly. And even if you don't necessarily want to spend that much time doing it, if you had a 15-minute, podcast or 15-minute clip of something, you can talk on there and get your transcription done while you do your video, which is very productive in my opinion. So another thing about using Google Docs is that you can quickly link a lot of things that are on different websites and get a nice thumbnail added, so that way as the person clicks on the link to go in, they can see a little bit before they actually go to the next page. Very similar to Wikipedia, when you are looking up a certain word or stuff like that. So on my newsletter, I decided to stop using typing everything on the actual email. I would share the Gmail account, and so you would have to have you have to log in to. You won't have to log in to Gmail in order to use it, but because only to view it. But later on, I have people who are looking to, collaborate or something. You would have to log in to view it and to edit. Yeah, that's one thing I like about it too. And it works very seamless with your Google Calendar. So if you are looking to set up, like, and like later on, I might be getting in some interviews. So I'll be interviewing people, and they'll be talking about their life and what they want, and what they're doing. And we can set up, times that people can come in and talk and share the information. And then you can also share with your own circles. The key is that I would like to start building a network where people from all different walks of life can easily get information and share it and work together to solve their problems, no matter how big or how small it is. I feel like that is something that is missing from my life. I can't do everything on my own. And once I started delegating a lot of things to people who were better than me, I started to notice that things were becoming much easier. It seems to be some sort of need to make people believe the opposite. But I think that's actually a great opportunity to use that as a way to learn and grow with your audience. So with that, I'm gonna just take another quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to speak about the War on Normal People link and what's in store for next week. Okay, so the last segment we have for today is so the book I just completed was The War on Normal People by Andrew Yang. I've been spending a few times reading it on the Kindle app on my iPad, my iPhone, and I have found the audiobook. I was gonna buy it off Audible, but I actually seen that someone uploaded it on YouTube, the entire audiobook. And if you have YouTube Premium, you can basically um, avoid having to lose your space, lose your spot when you're listening to the audiobook on YouTube by just downloading it to your phone, and then it saves your space for you. I really found the book very, very inspiring for the future. It's the first part of the book is pretty what do we say? It's pretty depressing because he goes into like how you know AI will take a lot of the work that can be done by a bot will be done by a bot. So, not just, the truck drivers like I spoke about in the beginning of the show. I also talked about how, people's jobs like lawyers, tax preparers, um, people who work in retail, people who work in any type of like service, like food service. They talked about like people who work in delivery services and anything with cars and automated. That the bots will do it better. And he brings up the idea that there's hope in all of this. That the fact that because that AI will be so ubiquitous in the next decade or two, that we can start taxing the companies that will be utilizing these AI to enhance their productivity of their company. And as they start to build out some sort of like process of like not laying people off and transitioning people outside of the workforce, that universal base income will be something that we would have to basically jump on because of the fact that it can be funded because of the fact that there's about 200 million people 200 million Americans in the country. And universal basic income will be for Americans between the ages of 18 and 64 that if you are basically under age of 18, you probably would be living in a household that is, with two people, and they will basically be providing, you'll be benefiting from the universal basic income, or the UBI, as you're growing up. But you'll be able to focus on what you would want to do with your life as you prepare. He's also deciding that you can do when you're 16, that they probably lower the age to vote to 16, I think. And also at 64, you would have enough of your money from your universal basic income to probably help leverage you off. So basically, if you are after 64, you would probably do something like maybe somebody in your family will probably use their money, that they will use the UBI to help take care of you while as you're going into retirement. So it's a great place because people believe that universal basic income might lead people to not manage their money properly, but they've said that studies show that it's very likely that people will probably do the right thing because they will be empowered by it. They've tried a lot of studies in different parts of the world. I think that Alaska has some form of it right now, and they fund it with oil. In Denmark and Holland, they also have it. There's another book outside called like I forget the name of the book. The name of the audio book. Well, actually, it wasn't an audio. Yeah, it was an audio book, but the
Do you like
the
blue cheese?
well,
Do you like kimchi? God, no.
sorry about that. The actual iPhone was still on for YouTube, but I want to bring the book. I want to bring the book up real quick so I can kind of remember. Yeah, it's called Utopia for Realists by Rutger
Take give
Bergman.
directly's figures. Go.
and he talks about how we can build an ideal world. And because I looked up since I bought this book, the next book that was recommended for me was A War on Normal People. And I don't know, it's a really great opportunity to talk about universal basic income, opening the borders, 15-hour work weeks. And it's not just, where you just worked $2,000. I mean, you get $1,000 a month. You actually get opportunities to be more productive in society. Like Andrew Yang also spoke about in his book about social credits, and how certain parts of the country, people will be given social credits to help other people out. And people who can't help themselves out, grocery shopping, helping out with work and stuff like that. And I always thought that this was something that was going to be coming because of the gig economy. I think that the gig economy got a bad rap because people feel like it's going to be like really bad jobs, and it's going to be where people aren't going to be able to live off of those things. And I think it's going to be the opposite. I think that social credits is going to be something we're going to have in this type of jobs. And TaskRabbit, Instacart, DoorDash are just pieces of a larger pie that will be taken into more serious concepts as the time goes on. Because I think that one of the things that we don't do in our society is that we do not work together. Like, we kind of focus on our families, like that's the only thing, and it's actually bigger than that. If you have a community and you live on the same block, everybody on your block is a part of your community. If something's wrong with your neighbor, you should find out, because if something happened with your neighbor and they can't take care of themselves, and they fall down the into the cracks, we shouldn't wait for our city government or federal government to chime in and help them. By that time it could be too late. And if their grass is not being mowed properly, for instance, it can bring the value down on your house next door. If somebody was smoking and their house caught on fire, it could bring the value down. If the crime goes up, it affects you too. All these things affects us. I really believe that we live in a very interdependent society. And as through going through school and then college, and also working in since I was 16, working between 1 to 2, even 3 jobs, I've noticed that I can't work my way out of it. It's like working is a part of our life, but we should be able to still do things and make us be happy. So traveling, it should be a must, and being able to have more time to take care of your families will allow people to want to take care of their families. And whether you vote for Andrew Yang or whoever you believe in, we really do believe that we want a better life for each other. Because if we don't, it could just lead to more problems in our society. People need to be happy. He also brought up, not to mention, just think about it, was that how people were making less money, like making like less than $35,000 a year, but they were playing like 8 hours of gaming online, and they were having a blast. They were saying that video gaming may become like the way that people make money these days. They'll be making money, and like now, that sounds kind of fun. When I was like 10 years ago, I used to think it would be really cool to kind of like work like that. But there was an issue where guild sellers from other countries were not getting paid that much, but imagine if they were. I mean, Diablo 3 came out. I mean, if you don't really understand, there was a game that came out that tried to talk about economy, like electric economy, that allowed people to play in a virtual game to make money. So I definitely think it's great to think about those things. And also, there's a movie just came out, I think last year, Ready Player One, that really touched on those topics. So I think that if we pay attention to all the movies, the video games, the TV shows, our politicians, policymakers, our corporate America, our business lawyers, everybody, even our, favorite, neighborhood, store owner, we need to pay attention and make sure everybody is doing okay. Because if they're not, that could show us signs on what's about to come, and what's about to come our way in the in the future. So I would definitely would love to, just do that. I think that if I was able to have a job that, or, have a business that would provide a jobs for people, and, you don't making a lot of money you won't need to make a lot of money, because you'll be able to travel to different parts of the country, different parts of the world, because you have so many friends and people that connect with you. You would have so much, you won't need that much money, because the money you would basically, would probably have to only pay for like flying. The flight tickets would be expensive, but lodging and transportation won't be a problem, because you can just utilize share cars, share riding services like Uber, or get around. You can sleep in literally any part of the country or any part of the world, because any place that has Airbnb can handle those things for you, and you can pay for it, because while you're paying, you only pay for the days that you sleep, but you won't have to go ahead and keep up with a rent, at your house, which could be anywhere between $500 a month to $1,500 a month to $2,500, depending on where you are in the world, and then still trying to pay rent someplace else. I really feel like you can do that, and while you're doing your whole trip, you can spend time, sharing that. There's a guy on YouTube right now. His name is Jermaine Ellis. He's a gig, he's a gig like economy, player, where I've been following him for a while. I think last year when I started playing around with a lot of the gig jobs, it was amazing watching him in San Francisco. I think I'm actually going to add one of his links to his videos up there, because I follow him and kind of like support his Patreon now. And he talks about how he traveled to like all parts of Eastern Europe, Israel, China, Japan, Ireland, and he just like videotapes the whole thing. And he has many diversified levels of income, and he's really basically like living that type of lifestyle. And I think that some people can do it, just like people are afraid. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So thank you for listening. If you basically want to talk, or follow me, you any of the channels that we talk on, social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, you could just handle me, you just call me. And take care.
One fine day you realize, to your astonishment, there is no way at all of having your mind anywhere else but in the present moment. Because even when you think about the past or the future, you're doing it now, aren't you? And that results in a very curious transformation of consciousness. You feel that the present moment is flowing along and carrying you with it all the time. Just like the flow of the Tao. The flow of the Tao is what we would call the flow of the present. See? And you're with it. There's no way of being anywhere else. The Jungyun, the book called The Unwobbling Pivot, says the Tao is that from which one cannot deviate. That from which one can deviate is not the Tao. Or to put it into the form of a Zen story, the master Joshu said to Nansen, "What is the Tao?" Nansen replied, "Your everyday mind is the Tao." Joshu asked, "How do you get into accord with it?" Nansen replied, "When you try to accord, you deviate."